In this video, I want to take a quick look at divisibility rules. Now, hopefully you're familiar with some of these, but it's always good to have a quick refresher. So quickly, how do we know if something is divisible by 2? Well, that means that the number's even. And if it's even, then it's going to end with a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So to give you a quick few examples, the number 12, which ends in a 2, that is divisible by 2 because it will be 2 times 6. If I were to look at the number 36, 36 ends in a 6, and I know that that's divisible by 2, and it would be 2 multiplied by 18. To give you another example, the number 1340, that is divisible by 2 because it ends in a 0, and it would be 2 times 670. Now, as we get further and further into our divisibility rules, they do become a bit more complicated, so I'm going to try to keep them as simple as possible. A number is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits in that number is also divisible by 3. So as an example, if I were to take the number 57, if I add up the 5 and the 7, I get 12, and 12 is divisible by 3. So I know that the number 57 is divisible by 3. And to be more precise, 57 is 3 multiplied by 19. Let me give you another example, say 141. If I add up the 1, the 4, and the 1, I will get 6. 6 is divisible by 3. Therefore, I know that 141 is divisible by 3, and it happens to be 3 times 47. And just one more example. Let's say I have the number 46,296. If I add up the 4 and the 6, I get 10. 10 and 2 make 12. 12 and 9 make 21. 21 and 6 make 27. 27 is divisible by 3. Therefore, this number is also divisible by 3, and it would be 3 times 15,432. Now, for a number to be divisible by 4, you could just see if it's divisible by 2 twice, or another way is if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4, then that number is divisible by 4. So as an example, if I had the number 212, right, looking at those last 2 numbers of 12, 12 is divisible by 4. Therefore, I know that this number is divisible by 4, and it is. It's 4 times 53. Doing another example, let's say 2,616. Looking at those last 2 digits of 16, 16 is divisible by 4. Therefore, I know that this number is divisible by 4, and it would be 4 multiplied by 654. And then one last example, let's look at 31,820. Looking at those last 2 digits of 20, I know that 20 is divisible by 4. Therefore, I know that this number is divisible by 4, and it would be more specifically 4 multiplied by 7,955. Now, for a number to be divisible by 5, it simply just must end in a 0 or a 5. So, that one's pretty self-explanatory. We could say that 75 is definitely divisible by 5. That would be 5 multiplied by 15. Or let's say I had 205, right? It ends in a 5. So therefore, this would be 5 times 41. And, looking at a number that ends in 0, let's say 1,020, it ends in a 0. Therefore, it's divisible by 5. And that would be 5 multiplied by 204. A number is divisible by 6 if that number is both divisible by 2 and 3. And so remember, we would just combine the two rules from above. So as an example, we look at the number 114. I know it's divisible by 2 because it ends in a 4. And if I add the digits together, 1 and 4 make 6. That's divisible by 3. And so I know that this number is definitely divisible by 6. More specifically, it would be 6 multiplied by 19. Looking at another number, let's say 1,524. I know that it's divisible by 2 because it ends in a 4. And if I look at the sum of the digits, 1 and 5 make 6, 2 make 8, 8 and 4 make 12. That's divisible by 3. So I know that this number is going to be divisible by 6, and specifically it is 6 multiplied by 254. One more example. Let's look at the number 26,382. I know that it's divisible by 2 because it ends in a 2. And if I add up the digits, 2 and 6 make an 8, 3 and 8 make an 11, and a 2, that'll be 19, and that adds to 21. Therefore, that's divisible by 3, so I know that this number is divisible by 3, and it's also now divisible by 6, and specifically it would be 6 multiplied by 4,397. The final two divisibility rules are 9 and 10. Now, a number is divisible by 9 if the sum of those digits in that number is also divisible by 9. So as an example here, let's look at 189. If I add up the 1 and the 8, I get a 9. 9 and another 9 make 18. 18 is divisible by 9. Therefore, I know that this number is divisible by 9. One more example. Let's say 387. 3 and 8 make 11. 11 and 7 make 18. 18 is divisible by 9. And so therefore, I know that this number would have been also divisible by 9. And then finally, if a number ends in 0, then it is always divisible by 10. So as an example, 230, that will be 10 times 23, and 3,450, that would be 10 multiplied by 345.